Hi, Analisa Six here to bring you the June 2023 horoscope for the zodiac sign of Pisces for sun and rising placements for the online platforms, the Sober Curator and the Lady of Leisure. Welcome, Pisces. You are my last video of the day, and I am excited to dive in. It is June. We are starting off June 1st with the sun in Gemini. It is Gemini season. The sun is currently at 10 degrees of Gemini and is passing through the area of the chart in the Pisces horoscope that has to do with home and family. So if you've been feeling like you want to spend a lot of time at home, or you've been feeling more introverted, that is in alignment with where the sun is. This is a really positive time for you to kind of work on your relationship to your home, cleaning your home, organizing your home, making your home kind of like this rejuvenating, replenishing space. And if there's things that you have been wanting to change or do to your home, that's supported. Also, working on communication dynamics with your family is going to be a big theme over the month of June. So let's talk about Mercury. Mercury is the planet of communication. It's been in Taurus since April. We had a retrograde last month in Taurus. We're finally out of the retrograde and the retrograde shadow. However, Mercury is ingressing towards a conjunction with Uranus that's going to be happening on the 4th and 5th. And we're already in the orb of influence. So if you've been feeling like, oh, Mercury's not retrograde anymore, why am I still feeling discombobulated? It's because Mercury with Uranus makes communication haywire again. And we kind of end up having more of this continuation of things feeling chaotic or not in sync or order when it comes to communication. And this is happening in the house of communication for Pisces. So this is definitely a time where we're working a lot on our communication. And, you know, the energy of Taurus wants things to be more practical and grounded and logical. So those are things that you might be focusing on in terms of trying to figure out better boundaries with people, better boundaries in communication, more practical communication, like I was saying, grounded, you know. And one of the things about Pisces struggles with boundaries. Pisces is a very emotional sign. It likes to really feel into things. It's an empathic sign. It's an intuitive sign, a psychic sign. And so the Mercury retrograde was an opportunity for you to work on boundaries and work on how you create more of a container for your emotions without letting them kind of go all over the place, and finding ways to ground more in your nervous system and your mind, and then the way that you speak those things to others. Pisces often gets talked about or to like they're very sensitive. All water signs do. Water signs kind of get the rap that they're a very sensitive sign. There was a psychologist or therapist that I follow that was talking about how calling somebody sensitive can be derogatory, and that people that are on the sensitive spectrum, a more appropriate terminology for them would be emotionally intelligent, because they're emotionally aware to the environment and in an intelligent way, not necessarily like sensitivity has kind of been deduced as a weakness, right? When in reality, it's a skill set and a strength. And so when we start to diminish being emotionally intelligent and aware and seeing it as sensitive, we'll start to have a negative relationship to our feelings and wanting, you know, we'll be around people that are like, you're so sensitive. And then we'll be trying to like shut that off, you know, in ourselves by holding it in. And that's not positive. That just manifests as illness in the body or other problems. And so a better way to look at it is that you're emotionally intelligent, which means you're hyper aware of feelings in the environment and in yourself, to the point where sometimes you're feeling somebody else in the environment and you're not sure if it's you or that person until you're away from that person, right? And so what Taurus can be helpful with is Taurus, because it's fixed earth, is really good at creating boundaries and structures. And so one of the things that you learn in a lot of spiritual modalities when you're a sensitive person, an intuitive person, emotionally intelligent person, is how to create boundaries between yourself and your psychic field and other people or other energies, which even with doing those exercises and those things can be really hard for Pisces, because Pisces is kind of like a sponge to just whatever's happening. But when you do those kinds of exercises where you're imagining kind of these energetic boundaries, you get better at creating those walls for yourself in a positive way, so you're not just open to all of the comings and goings of the energy that's around you. And part of that too is the communicating boundaries, right? So if we have people in our life that constantly, you know, are requiring things of us, and we're always allowing ourselves to give into it without saying, no, I don't have the bandwidth or the energy for that right now, we're enabling other people to take advantage of us or not respect our boundaries. So there's a few things that we have to do. We have to communicate when we have a boundary in order for that boundary to be respected, because we can't expect people to know our boundaries. And then if we have people in our life that don't respect those boundaries, then we have to create the proper boundaries with those people in order to get that need met, right? So here's an example I will bring up about my father. My father is an alcoholic, and he loves to push my boundaries with that. And I am in recovery, I'm sober, and he doesn't understand how being around his alcoholism or his relationship with alcohol is triggering for me. It brings up my own issues with alcohol, and it brings up memories for me that have nothing to do with him. And that's one of the things that I think is really hard with people who are deep into their relationship with alcohol to understand about people in sobriety, is that there's things that we have memories of that are triggering for us that have nothing to do with that person. But by being around it, it triggers that memory for us in a somatic way or in a subconscious way. And it sucks. It doesn't feel good. And so when you're around somebody that's not respecting that or doesn't honor it or validate that, right? If you're in recovery and you're like, I personally do not enjoy being around a parent who is wasted, because I have really negative memories of that parent being wasted, where I was put in situations that were bad for me. I also normalized things that were really bad for me, situations for me as a woman, because I normalized those things when I was young. So I have all these traumatic memories that are due to my choices that have nothing to do with that person. But that person was a part of why I normalized that behavior. And therefore, when I watch that person doing those things, it triggers my somatic response. And I cannot seem to get that through to that parent of mine. No matter how many times I explain, I cannot and do not want to be around your drunk ass. I am in recovery. I am your child. This is triggering for me. Like, what don't you understand? And I've made so many boundaries where I've been like, I will not go on a trip with you. I will not do this with you unless it's a sober trip. And we only usually spend 2 days together, 3 days together. I'm like, really? You can't go 2 or 3 days with your child without alcohol? No, because he's an alcoholic and that's what alcoholics do. But I've tried, right? And so for me, I have to do a lot of compartmentalization of myself and how I recover and heal if I want to have that parent in my life, right? So I have a rule where there's no booze in my house. And that's the one rule that person, my father, can respect. And I've decided as long as he doesn't get wasted, I can handle him having a couple of drinks. So that's where we meet in the middle. But again, he's always testing that with me, right? So then I have to go to the next level of like, when do I walk away, right? When do I cut it off? When do I end the relationship? Or when do I say, go home? You know, that kind of stuff. That's me creating boundaries. But when I was younger, I didn't know what boundaries were. I didn't know how to communicate that stuff. So I would just constantly end up in these situations where I wasn't articulating what I needed. I didn't know how to say no. I still end up in that situation sometimes because I have a hard time with that, because I tend to cater towards what other people need in order for them to feel comfortable, not necessarily what I need to feel comfortable. So that's a big theme for Pisces in terms of where this energy is hitting in the chart. I'm just using me as an example of where Pisces is so empathic. And so what can I do for you? Or how can I make you feel good? Or I want everyone to feel okay, that we'll sometimes get so caught up in what's happening around us. We're not even aware of what we want or what we need. Sometimes we don't even know. All we know is we just don't want to feel bad, you know, and maybe we still do. And we don't know why. We're like, but I catered to that person's every need. Why do I feel bad? Oh, wait, because I didn't get my emotional need met and I got drained by that situation and I didn't set up boundaries. And sometimes it's like this whiplash, you know, of like, why didn't I set myself up for success in that way? So that's a big theme for Pisces. With this Mercury and Taurus, and you're finishing that out. You might have some breakthroughs around that when Mercury makes that conjunction to Uranus. Jupiter's going to be in this area for the rest of the year. Jupiter's in Taurus now. And so where Jupiter is where we, Jupiter focuses on expansion and growth and abundance. And so Pisces, over the next year, you are focusing on growing and expanding and how you communicate boundaries, how you communicate your needs, and how you communicate in a more logical, grounded, and practical way, which is not always Pisces' strong suit. I mean, obviously, if you've got heavy earth placements in your chart, you might be better at it than some others. But if you're one of those Pisces that doesn't have a lot grounding you, this is definitely an area that you have to really work on. And you know, we all have to, but it tends to be something that Pisces has a harder time with. Venus is in Cancer starting out the month, and she'll be in Cancer until the 5th before entering Leo. So she's been in Cancer since May, and the area that she's been transiting for Pisces has been the area that has to do with creative expression, and also where we find joy, how we connect to children, our inner child, romance, those things. And water likes water. So Venus has been making a positive trine, easy energy, for Pisces people. So that's been a really positive transit for the Pisces dominant person, but she will be leaving on the 5th to enter Leo and join Mars. So Mars is now in Leo, Mars entered Leo in May, at the end of May, and is going to be in, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself in my brain, and then I jumble my words. Mars is going to be transiting in Leo in the 6th house for all of June. And Mars in the 6th house in a horoscope chart has an emphasis on our health. And so Leo rules the heart and the spine. And so it's really important during this time for the Pisces rising or sun person to be doing things that promote good heart health and good spinal health. So if there's things that you know you need to be doing, like going to the chiropractor, or you know, doing certain exercises that promote good cardio health and good spinal health, that's something you really should be focusing on over the next month. However, Mars passing through this area can also make us more prone to hurting ourselves and accidents. So we also need to be really careful that we're not doing things where we could hurt our spine, our back, or our heart. Venus is going to come in here on the 5th, and she's going to be here for the rest of the month. So she also kind of elevates this energy where our health is a focus, our spinal health, our heart health. And again, this area also has to do with daily routine. So setting ourselves up for success around what we do on a day-to-day basis for good health. This is also an area of power of service to others. And so Leo likes to really bring joy to other people, laughter, art, you know, creativity. So you might feel an emphasis to want to do that for other people, get people in touch with their creativity. Leo and Pisces are both very artistic, creative energies. And so when they're in unison and working together, there's a lot of like really cool kind of things that can come out of it, whether it's music or theater, performance, that kind of stuff. So if you like being of service in those ways, that's supported and emphasized in the month of June. On June 3rd, we're going to have a full moon at 13 degrees of Sagittarius, and the area that that's hitting for the Pisces chart is the area that has to do with career. So full moons are all about manifesting and releasing. And so if there's things within your career that you really want to call into your life or release that aren't working for you, this is a positive time to do a ritual or intention setting kind of manifestation towards that. Sagittarius calls in our values and beliefs. And so, you know, we tend to want to reflect on whether or not what we're doing is in alignment with our values and our beliefs and our kind of soul purpose. So if you've been, you know, kind of reflecting on whether or not your career is still in alignment for you, this is a time where if you're thinking of moving on and trying out something else, that would be not surprising if that's coming up for you. After that, Venus will move into Leo. And then on June 11th, Mercury is finally going to move into Gemini. I'm so excited. And so Mercury will be entering Gemini and joining the sun. And that's going to be in that area that represents your home and family. So again, this communication theme is still present in the chart when it comes to your home and family dynamics. And so while Mercury was passing through Taurus, you might have experienced the need to set boundaries in certain ways. And then you're really going to get the opportunity to exercise that while while Mercury's passing through the house of home and family. It's also an opportunity for you to heal any issues around the past when it came to your relationships with family too. Saturn's going to station retrograde on the 17th in Pisces at 7 degrees. Saturn is going to be influencing the area of identity over the next 2.5 years for Pisces. And so I don't really talk about the outer planets and horoscopes, but I do get more into that stuff in the June astrology forecast video, which is the first video of this playlist. And so when it comes to outer planets and all of the little transits that we go through every single week of the month, I go over that in the astrology forecast. I don't go over it in the horoscope. The horoscope, we focus more just on personal planets and where they're shifting and kind of the themes, that are, activating for the month for each sign. But if you really want to know all of the, sorry for my dogs, you guys, it's okay. There's a lot of bird action going on in the yard. So if you are wanting to know more of the individual transits, you can watch that forecast, and then they're more relevant to you in terms of how it's influencing your personal birth chart, whereas the horoscopes are so generic in general that I don't go as heavy into them. After Saturn stations retrograde on the 18th, we're going to have our new moon in Gemini, and new moons are all about setting intentions for something that we want to see manifest within the next month. And, our new moon is going to be at 26 degrees of Gemini, and Gemini and Pisces make a square to each other. So there is tension. It's a mutable square. And so we might feel some tension that day. The Sag full moon, we're going to feel tension to Pisces. And so, there's a square activation happening. And so our hearts and our minds might feel some tension, but unifying that is a good goal to have in terms of, this fourth house energy that has to do with ancestral healing, or, kind of the relationship that we have to our home and family. If there's perceptions or beliefs or ideas that we have around that stuff that we're needing to set intentions towards in a way that's more positive, the new moon's a good time to do that. And also, new moon's a really good time to set intentions towards things that we want to cultivate in, that next, I already said this, but the next following month. And so if you have home projects or things that you want to do with your home, or even if you're moving and you want to set an intention around where you want to move, this is a really positive time to do this for the Pisces dominant person where this is hitting in the chart. And then on the 21st, the sun is going to move into Cancer. We're going to enter Cancer season. And so the sun will be influencing that area where we had Venus at the start of the month. So the area that represents creative self-expression, joy, the way that we kind of experience this personal fulfillment. And so, the sun brings energy and vitality to that. So hopefully you get kind of this boost of creative energy during Cancer season. And then on the 27th, Mercury is going to move into Cancer. And so Mercury is going to be joining that energy. And you'll be kind of going into July with this boost of creative energy and kind of this desire to, focus more on connecting to your inner child in a joyful way. So a lot going on in the bottom of the chart, and then the interpersonal quadrant is really highlighted. So, you might still be pretty introspective and not feeling a desire to really be super extroverted, but it's a really good time for you to kind of focus on the ways in which you're cultivating happiness and structure in your life in a way that's constructive for whatever goals that you have for the summer. So I think that it's a positive month for you, even though you might still experience some tension, around some of the communication dynamics that maybe you've been working through. And again, your heart health, your spinal health is really important. So doing things that promote good health in those ways, and also, promoting things that bring you joy, because that's also something that adds to our health, right? If we have things that we're doing that inspire us and get us feeling positive about life. Pisces really needs like a spiritual framework and a creative expression. So finding ways to kind of lean into that and give that to yourself in June is going to be really valuable for making you feel good in yourself. All right, Pisces, I wish you the best of luck, and I will see you next month. Thanks for watching.